Wait a bit. Okay, so I'll start on time because I have only 30 minutes, but it's lunch after that, so if we run a little bit over, I hope you don't mind, especially if you have questions. But let me be quick, at least with the start. So if you don't know me, a few information about me here. I don't want to be talking too long about myself. Just I'm from 2 4U. Our company exists since 2000, so quite a long time, and I have been working with FileMaker for more than half of my life. Today I'm going to talk about performance, but if you have been to my performance sessions in the past, this one is going to be a little bit different. In that I will focus more on one specific optimization case, which I hope can inspire you into thinking differently, especially when optimizing your solutions for better performance. But before I get to that case, a little bit about what's new this year. So, as you know, FileMaker 19.6 v3 was released. Then we got Claris Pro and Claris Server. Then it disappeared, and now we have FileMaker Pro and Server 2023. 3 versions have been released, and one more is coming probably next week. And we got some testing results. So, for instance, overall weighted average of testing overall performance of those different versions, showing that there is not much, not big difference between 19 versions and 20 or 2023. We were also testing FileMaker server on Ubuntu, and we were wondering whether it's better to run it natively on a hardware, or whether it's better to run FileMaker server in Docker. So the overall performance seems to be quite similar. So it means that you don't have to be afraid that Docker would add extra, but don't also expect that running in Docker will significantly impact the performance in a positive way. The other thing is running multiple Docker containers for secondary machines as a web servers. That's where you can get some quite interesting results. But when we dive into some details, like what exactly is being tested, that's interesting because there are some things which are better to run in Docker, and some things better to run natively on the hardware. So, for instance, this test was retrieving records for something like simulated virtual list. So we were retrieving 1,000 records as type delimited text using perform script on server. And in this case, you can see that because wider bar means faster, this means that Docker was actually a little bit more efficient than the bare hardware. And that seems like for getting data from the FileMaker, Docker might be a good option. While on modifying data, specifically deleting records, that's the opposite. Natively running on hardware was much, sorry, not much, but slightly faster than in Docker. And I think it's actually well explainable, because the way how Docker works with file systems and persistent data, there are some extra operations when the data needs to be synchronized back to the hard drive from the Docker container. Now, we also tried different servers on a local network and checked, we were specifically interested, okay, how about if we now have the Ubuntu for ARM processors, how about running it in virtualization on a Mac? Because Mac has the ARM architecture. So we discovered that the overhead of the virtualization is actually significant. So we do not recommend trying that. On the other side, uh, it's quite interesting that even like 11 years old mini PC with the Ubuntu Linux was still giving us similar performance to our reference machine, which used to be a Power Mac from 2010. So if you need to run like a very lightweight FileMaker server for a few users on premise, using these older computers is still suitable, and you can get even more power than in the past by installing Ubuntu Linux on it. So even though Windows is now getting too slow on that, Ubuntu gets you some extra power because of the lower overhead of the operating system. Uh, you have a question?
Yes, one question. If you talk about Ubuntu, autographical.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
On Ubuntu, we were always testing without the graphical user interface because that's the main benefit. That unlike Windows, Ubuntu can be installed without the overhead of the GUI, and that overhead actually consumes some resources. The other thing that my client was actually telling me as a result of tests, which is quite interesting, when the server is idle on Windows, it keeps consuming about 10% CPU, while on the Linux it goes to down about 1% if there is nothing to do. So the idle processing is significantly higher on Windows. Okay, the question is whether what I am saying is different from what Wim said yesterday, that there is no big difference between Windows and Linux. The actual truth is about it depends on the size of the server or size of the installation. When you deal with a small installations with small servers, let's say up to 50 users, then the impact of the idle processing and the Windows operating system overhead is significant. It plays a role. If we talk about the typical customers Wim works with hundreds of users, that's completely different because the overhead stays the same in terms of absolute values, but in percentage of the power of the computer, it becomes negligible. So then if you have a bigger server, then the difference is smaller. If you have a small server with just a few users, then the difference between Windows and Linux can be quite significant. Now, what we have seen in the past few years, and actually probably a decade, is a big focus on WebDirect and concurrent connections. So this is just a reminder of where we got since FileMaker 15, where now FileMaker officially supports up to 2,000 concurrent users working on WebDirect if you have those secondary machines as a web workers. And as Clay explained in his sessions, it's going even farther very soon. So this is quite good news for someone who wants to grow and are at the edge. So there are already running installations with hundreds and thousands of users. So FileMaker can do it if you don't design the database solution really badly. Now, one thing that I am definitely still looking for any help from you as a community is testing with multiple clients. Our bench test tool, which is free to download, is able to run our standard tests simultaneously on multiple clients. It's fully automated. But we don't have the infrastructure to try, let's say, 100 concurrent clients. So if any of you have access to such infrastructure where you could run the test, it will take just probably an hour or so, or a little bit more if it's a higher number of clients. I'll be glad you try it. There is just a simple button, you submit the results and they appear on our website. Well, we could expose our server, but it's yeah. Well, I don't think we are ready for this. We don't have such a powerful server to handle that, but um, at some point, thanks for the idea. It might be something that we can consider in the future. Now, as I'm talking about bench test, the nice thing is when I was preparing actually for the first version of this presentation for October, the record from 2022, which I made on a brand new on this M1 MacBook Pro, has not been broken. But actually, while I was working on the slides, it got broke. It broke by Al Chen, who submitted even better results from M2, but in a locally open file. So right now, if you check our website for the results published there, you will not see any comparable results from locally open file to currently running on a Mac with the M2 processor. I think very soon we will see some M3 results as well, but for you as a developers working on a computer like this is definitely much better than anything else that has been submitted so far. And I'm happy to say that right now we already have 399 results of bench tests submitted on our website, which you can browse there for free. And 282 actually came from the community. So only the smaller part is from our laboratory testing. The rest is community contributed. And if you don't know a bench test yet, you can find it on this link. And feel free to scan the QR code, or you can download the presentation later. And just a quick news, we have recently updated bench test to add some new features, such as being able to filter the results by type, or when you produce a chart, you can customize how each result is presented in the chart, so that you can generate a more meaningful chart to show if you want. Now let's get to the optimization case, and this is something I'm really glad to talk about, because this is a client we work with for I think over 15 years. I'm not sure if Pep is here present. Yeah, over there. So Pep turned to us some time ago, 15 years ago, and he built a software for renting equipment for entertainment. And the problem he was solving in that was basically when someone comes and asks, well, I want this number of microphones, this number of speakers, and I want them from 1st of December to 20th of December, his database needs to check what's available at that time, compare against all existing reservations, and whether there are any conflicts. With this solution, he needed to optimize it for speed. So first time in 2007, he actually got an idea from Nick Orr how to do this conflict matching, but it wasn't fast enough in FileMaker calculations, so he turned to us to build a custom plugin to do some stuff in the plugin which was much faster. Then the second time he turned to us later to do another optimization and so on. And finally this year we made another optimization, and it's not the last one, is if I understand correctly, because after that Pep went even further and optimized it again, which reminds me what I have always been saying. You can even you can optimize even an already optimized solution. You can still go further, and Vince in his session was saying, be always dissatisfied. You can always do better. So with performance, it's true as well. So a little bit more technically, what's the usual approach? So we have a request for specific date range, and then we have reservation. And we have to check whether there is any reservation that's conflicting with the request. So the easiest approach that comes to my mind is, okay, let's do a relationship and compare the dates between, compare the source dates, compare them with the beginning and end of the existing reservations. So now the first version of our plugin was simply helping with generating the dates as a list, actually converted to numbers so that it can be easily used in the relationships. And then as we pull the data back from the related records, we are also counting, totaling the numbers that we got as a list. And this is the nice testimonial we got from Pep after our actually second optimization, where he claimed that from tens of minutes he got to fraction of second. So that was really rewarding to get these words. But as I mentioned, once you make something faster, you want more, you know. So you can do more, and then when you do more, you need it to be faster again, and that's a cycle. We thought about what to do with the date range, and the biggest bottleneck in the comparison are the comparison operators. So if you have a relationship that's joining the records by equal, it's much faster than if you do less than or greater than. So if we replace it with equal, and we generate the date ranges on both sides, then we can get the matching. But the problem is when the date ranges are a little bit longer. So for instance, if you do a range over half a year, you get 180 or so dates. And if you want to do something across multiple years, it's a huge list. And if you have a huge list, the relationship has to compare all those values. So it's getting slower again. So we thought of, okay, so what if we compact it by representing longer ranges such as weeks with just a single line. But the problem, in this case it works, but the problem is when there are like partially overlapping. So for instance, on one side we have the whole week, but on the other side we have just a few days from that week. There is no match. So how to deal with that? So we came up with this idea that on one side we will also include those weeks where there is at least one day. But we also needed to do it on the other side. But we cannot do it at the same time. So when we did it on the other side, we got a match from the other side. So we ended up having two lists of records where some records were returned only by the first approach, some only by the second approach, and some were returned by both. So we had to like combine two lists, but instead of just getting the values to calculate, we needed to get also the IDs of those records so that we could remove those duplicates from the resulting list. So we had to modify the plugin again so that instead of getting single value, we get ID and a value, and then have a mechanism how to strip the IDs from that list after using the unique values function to remove duplicates. This is the result before Pep made another optimization. So again, this year we were able to make his solution 3 times faster than it was last year. So that's the case that really inspires, hopefully, because it tells you you can find new ways how to do things and get it faster, and you can do it multiple times. You don't have, you cannot say I am done. There is no way to go further. There's always a way to get further. Now I have one topic that I'm trying to talk about for the last 3 years. And by the way, take a picture of this or remember it. You will be thanking me for it later. But calculations in FileMaker. Can you guess how many different places calculations are available in FileMaker today? 9?
Hundreds.
Okay, unique place. I mean types of places. So this is the hopefully complete list, which has been just extended by layout calculations recently. So I can say that calculations are everywhere, and because of that, as I know from my own tests, if, for instance, as a very simple test, I run try to find all prime numbers between 1 and 10,000 with a FileMaker calculation. It takes, if I recall correctly, something like 30 seconds. When I try the same with JavaScript, it's a fraction of a second. So I wrote this suggestion in the FileMaker community, and I urge you, if you agree with me, go there and vote now to increase the number of votes that are considered for by Claris to actually implement this or consider this. I believe the calculation engine can be made faster. If JavaScript, which is interpreted language, is at least 1,000 times faster, why couldn't we get the calculation engine at least 10 times faster? There must be a way. And I'm sure there is a way to make it 100 times faster. And even if we have to lose something like referential parameters, most of us don't use them in 99% cases. So if we have a like switch that let's evaluate this calculation without this one feature, which is the reason why they are slower, we'll be happy for most cases. But if we don't have to touch our code, that's the best case, because my impression is if Claris finds a way how to make the calculation engine 10 times faster. They made a lot of optimizations recently. They made server-side sorting. They made server-side total calculations, summaries. They made different optimizations to the cache. But they did transactions, the native transactions, which also in some cases are helpful for performance. But all those things require us to make some changes to actually take advantage of those optimizations. But if the calculation engine becomes 10 times faster, just by installing the update, everyone's solution is going to perform better. Do you agree? So without any effort on the developer side, making the calculation engine faster, in my opinion, will have impact on 100% customers. So that's why I'm advocating for this. But yes, I started advocating for it 3 years ago, and every one of you who votes adds 10 points to that suggestion. So I hope to get at least 200 or 1,000 extra votes today. Let's see. But now I also have a surprise for you. As FileMaker became available for Ubuntu 22 on the ARM architecture, I recalled, okay, isn't Raspberry Pi actually also using the ARM architecture? And what if we put FileMaker server on this device? Is it going to perform at least sufficiently for a few users? What's it going to be like? So we tested, we ran our tests on the Raspberry Pi as well. And as I showed you the results on the mini PC running Ubuntu, you see the Raspberry Pi, actually Raspberry Pi 4, is almost as fast as that Celeron mini PC. You have a question?
Yeah, you tested it with the
Yes.
Will it make a big difference if you put a NVMe SSD?
I don't know. It's worth testing.
I tried it also.
But yeah, but the point is, yeah, we can run FileMaker server on Raspberry Pi, and the Raspberry Pi, if you have one user or 3 users, seems to be quite sufficient. And well, when I first tried it, people started asking, okay, but who would use it? What would it be for? So I thought of real use cases. And one came to my mind recently when we started communication with a potential customer who actually still hasn't started using FileMaker server after 15 years. They have archaeologists working in the field, and they are collecting data on iPads. Now imagine you have a group of 5 people working in the field, away from the civilization, no internet connection, nothing. Wouldn't it be great if those 5 people could share the same data set? So you can just go there, take the Raspberry Pi with FileMaker server installed on it, take a power bank, and just turn it on, and in 2 minutes you have a running FileMaker server you can connect to. And now there is a reason why I have just done it, because I have a challenge for you. This Raspberry Pi is now running a FileMaker server. There is a database. If you manage to connect to it, open the database, there is a challenge. If you complete the challenge, you can win a free license of FMBench. And you have the time to try it until this battery goes flat. Last time I tried it, it survived for more than 6 hours. And there is also one Easter egg, which is not a condition to win, but if you spot it, come back to me and tell me. I will be just happy that you spot it. And by the way, I have made an arrangement with Nick Orr, who has one of the 3 last sessions today in the garden room. He's going to talk about Ubuntu. And in the end of his session, I'm going to reveal what the solution to this challenge was. So if you don't figure out, you can come to see, or if you do figure out but you are not sure if you found the best way, come to see, and if I manage to do that in time, I will be also announcing the winners there. So the last session in the garden room before the keynote, you will get to see how you could solve this challenge. So that's it for now. I think I have officially 1 minute left, so go ahead, ask questions, and because there's no more sessions until after lunch, we can go a little bit longer and answer all the questions you have. It's supposed to be. I'm not sure. Yeah. So the question was whether Pi 4 might be faster than Pi 4. So I suppose it might. I haven't tested it. There's one caveat with the Pi, and that's it may need additional cooling if you use it really at maximum power for a long time. But you know, what would you expect from a box for less than $100, right?
There's also the limit of the
Yes.
it's capped at 8 GB.
Mm-hmm. I think this is actually, I'm not sure if it's 4 or 8 gigabyte version. No, I'm not sure. But it should be sufficient at least for this challenge. Any more questions? Well then, thank you for your attention and good luck with the challenge.
Which version of the server runs it?
I can't find it. I think 20 at least.
The challenge has multiple steps, so if you fail with the first step, you don't get to do the second step.
We have to figure it out.